So what am I working on? A lot of things, tons of things, so many things. I've never worked so hard in the span of, well, 3 months and probably going into the rest of the year on this channel, focused specifically on YouTube, making videos, and even beyond that in terms, but still with the same audience. I've worked throughout this YouTube duration that we've been doing this. I've worked hard on YouTube, but also hard at the same time on other stuff outside that, making videos for companies and graphic art for companies and stuff like that. And so that supplemented the income. I've never had to focus solely on the whole YouTube thing with this much volume of all the projects that we're working on in a span of this amount of time before. And that just goes to, well, like what I was talking to with the algorithm and having to put up constant content now. I'm much more, I enjoy much more to when I can just work a week long on a video and just polish it and make it really awesome. And I would love to do that just like once a week, just a really good video. But sometimes I have to just bite the bullet and say, we just gotta release something. And I released the stuff people sent us on the main channel today, and I personally, I like that kind of stuff if it's sparingly, and that's just me. And I think the audience is divided on it too. There's so many people that just want to see Game Chaser episodes, but there's so many people out there that also want to see that kind of stuff as well. So that's kind of what hurts the channel. If only half the people watch the videos, now I'm not going to go into any of that again. I've already been into that, but I just don't consider that content. I just consider that filler. And I know that a lot of you just absolutely love that kind of stuff, but I just don't consider it. I don't take pride in that at all, because it's not. No, there's no effort and work that went into that. I am working on those types of videos right now, but I have to have something that just kind of goes up and then gets some kind of views, and so the channel doesn't just drop in viewership and revenue and all that garbage. Like right now, I'm working on a mini documentary that's going to be up in October. Trying to get the studio ready to build a new set. Well, actually 2 new sets. One for a new show that we're wanting to do, and also a new set that will be the interview segments for Chasing the Unknown, because we have another Chasing the Unknown set, shot, but we just don't have the set anymore to record the interviews. It used to be done in my garage, and I just don't have the room anymore to do it. So we need a set to do that. So that, and then I have other videos that I'm working on as well for the channel, and Game Chaser movie script. I've been working on that every night, and that has just been Game Chaser. How could I forget that? I'm working on 2 Game Chaser episodes right now. Melvor's working on a Toy Chaser episode, but he can only do the first half of it, and I have to finish the second half up because I'm the one. It's taken him 6 months to do half an episode, and you know, I can't really fault him for that, because he's had personal family issues that take priority, and I get that, and so I can't bash him too much for that, but it is what it is. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. That's why. Otherwise, there would have been a Toy Chaser up by this time, I would assume. So that's the kind of stuff I enjoy working on. The stuff that actually takes editing and we can think it through and all this other stuff. And it's raining right now, and it's sunny. I'm not even kidding. This is the sky right now, and here is the ground. I see this all the time here, and it still just weirds me out. It's aliens. It's got to be aliens. And it's kind of pissing me off, because I had this Nintendo sitting right here on the freaking ground, because I was going to photograph it. I needed to photograph it on pavement for a promo picture that I'm working on one of the projects that we're doing, and so it can match up with the stock photo that I'm going to use. But now the ground's going to be wet, and it's not going to match up. And it fuck you. So at this point, I'm just waiting for it to stop raining. I mean, it shouldn't rain. It should just sprinkle for 5 minutes maybe at the most. But I have to have the ground dry in order to take that photograph. And it should dry up pretty quickly, so it shouldn't, I don't think it's going to be any torrential downpour, so it shouldn't last too long. But it's just, it hadn't rained all day. And as soon as I put the NES out here and pulled up my camera to vlog and then also take a picture, that's when it starts raining. Anyway, I shut it off because the kids were making noise from the school bus or whatever. So there's some major developments. I don't know how many of you have been keeping track on Twitter or whatever with the status of the movie, the Game Chasers movie, but I finished after 8 months of straight working on it. I can't say straight working on it because nothing we do is straight. I mean, I would say like some weeks it would be every night, and then maybe like once a night 1 week, just because I'm busy, or just I always do it late at night when I get home. And the hell was that? Anyway, I always work on it in bed late at night once the kid's asleep, so that way, you know, I get to spend time with the kid, and then I'm up late, not too terribly late, but maybe like 1 to 2, and I'm working on it. And it's kind of like my quiet time where like I put my headphones on and I just kind of go into my own little world, and that's it. I think that's where I can concentrate and think the most. There's no way I'd be able to do it during the day with all these distractions around me, and maybe it's because I have ADD or something. I doubt it. I think that's a kind of a dumb excuse, but that I hear too much. But I do just tend to just focus, try to focus on something. But then when something's happening around me, I just can't like not focus. Like then the chat, like I'm in a chat with like Joe and Eric and Sean and Jay, and that'll pop off, and then I'll start getting distracted posting and that, and then it's like, oh, okay, an hour's gone by and I haven't done anything. So I'll end up, I actually ended up, like, once I was nearing completion, when I was probably at the 80% mark on this script, I actually left the chat, and I kind of turned off some other social medias, or just logged out of it, and just so I could focus more. And so I ended up doing that and finishing it up, and I think it's turned out really, really good. But I think once the other guys look at it and see things that maybe I overlooked or just didn't consider, then I think it'll be spectacular. So that's the hope anyway. I think it took so long just because I wanted it to be as good as it could be. I could have thrown something together in a few weeks and just shat it out, and we could already be probably shooting it by this point. But can't do that. Can't do that. The script is the foundation, and if it's not right, then it's not. Then the whole thing's going to be wrong, and then the whole movie is wasted, and you've blown your chance, and everyone thinks you're a dipshit. So I can't do that. And I created something that I believe that everybody who is a fan of the show is absolutely going to love. They're going to love it for the same reason that they like the show. And that's what I try to do, is make it as much for the fans as possible, that they're going to enjoy it and see things from a new perspective, but also at the same time make it accessible from people who don't know who we are and who may not know anything about collecting or games or anything like that. And they can get into it, and they can see it, and they can enjoy it for what it is, and not necessarily know any of the backstory about anything. There are a lot of different references and things that fans of the show are going to be like, oh yeah, you know, that's a thing. But you don't have. It's not a requirement to enjoy a movie, and that's important. You have to have it, something as big as this. You have to have it to where it's as broad as possible, so as many people can enjoy it as possible, and without alienating your core fan base, which is just as important. So that was the line I had to kind of maneuver around the whole time, and I found that just doing what I felt like, if I was like in your seat, like if I was watching it from your perspective, what I would enjoy, and I think it turned out great. I think I was able to do that for the most part, and at least I hope so. There are times, you know, when you're that glued to something for a span of, at this point, 8 months, sometimes you get so close to it that you don't really, you kind of lose a little bit of your objectivity, a little bit, maybe even a little bit of, sometimes you can't see the forest because of the trees, you know, so to speak. If I want to bring about that old cliche, sometimes you have to step away for maybe a month or two, or you know, whatever, how long, it's arbitrary, to see something and to look at it again and maybe see, oh, that doesn't work, or that I don't like that. I did that so many times during the course of this. You should have seen this. The first draft was just atrocious, but at the time I was like, oh, it's okay. But then, you know, I took a few weeks to not look at it, and I looked at it again, and I was like, this ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. And I did that over the course of this in different parts throughout these months, and it helps. It helps so much, and it also helps when other people see it, and they see it with fresh eyes. So right now, Melvor's looking at it. You know, Jay's gonna look at it. Wood's gonna look at it, because Wood is really, you know, I know some of you don't like Wood. Whatever, it doesn't matter, because he's really, really good at narrative, understanding a narrative structure and why certain characters would do certain things, and telling an overall kind of story. And I think that's what I'm best at too, actually. And that's mainly what my goal was because I took on the mantle of writing it just all by myself from the beginning, because I knew that there's no way something that huge can be accomplished by a group of people if they only meet like once a week. Especially within Melvor's case, where he may have an hour or two a week just away from the stuff that he's got going on to be able to work on something like that. You can't write a script like that. You just can't, and because it just takes so much time and energy and just zaps you. It really does. I mean, I feel like I could take a script writing course at this point, because I learned so much. I've never tackled anything like this before, but I do enjoy movies. I love movies, and I understand structure and narrative, and so but there were still things that I didn't understand or didn't know, and so I went into I made it a point before I even started this to really focus and learn as much as I could about script writing. There was weeks that I was just soaking in as much as I could, from online courses to videos, to as much as I could, and I wanted to be the best. I just can't tell you how much I just wanted this to be just as best as it could possibly be, and I wanted to do everything it took to do that. I wasn't just going to come in there haphazardly, not knowing what the hell I was doing. I was going to be bound and determined to know what the hell I was doing. And so I soaked in and tried to understand. I listened to some of the greatest script writers out there do interviews and talk about some of the things that you need to look out for, and things that they've learned throughout their years. And you soak in that information, and you take advice from the people who've been doing this and have been successful doing it. And that's exactly what I did. Now, that does not mean a guarantee for success, obviously not, but I think it's potentially helped that success happen. It's potentially made this be better than it could have been. So that's exciting for me. But I think that my understanding of narrative structure and character arcs is what is the strongest point, and that's the things I drove home. I drove home the whole narrative and the overall structure and where everything's going and taking place. And my hope is that when the other guys look at it, they can see a few things and tweak a few things and say, hey, this would be funny. This is good, but it would be funnier, it'd be better if we did this in this part. And I'm like, you know, I didn't even think about that. Let's do it. Or they may be like, hey, look at that. That's dumb. We shouldn't do that. And I'll be like, actually, it makes sense from a narrative standpoint. Fuck you. We're doing it. So, you know, it is what it is. But I think at this point, it's a matter of everybody just kind of getting together and knowing what the script is and putting their input in, and we'll all see what works, what doesn't, what's the best case to do, what's the best case scenario in some of these. And unfortunately, the one thing that it's a little bit of a problematic, I guess. And I'm going to wrap this video up because it is already going way too long. But one thing that could be potentially problematic is I have written in a few things that I think is best and I think would work really great and I absolutely love. The budget just might not be there for it to happen. So if that's the case, then some of it will have to be rewritten just because we can't afford it. But hopefully that won't be the case. And I don't think that I went overboard with this script whatsoever. I don't think I went overboard. I kept budget in mind, whatever the budget potentially could be. I just knew that we would be on a budget because we're not a Hollywood studio. So I kept that in mind, and I didn't do a few of the things, the few of the ideas that I really wanted to do. I really wanted us to be in a hot air balloon at some point, but we just can't swing something like that right now on an independent budget, which there's little guys like us. So but overall, I think it's really good. Overall, I would give this script, if I had to grade it, A-, and hopefully once it's done and the final draft is done, it'll be an A+++. But I don't know. That's my perspective. Maybe when the guys look at it, they call it an A+++. Maybe if they look at it, they call it a B-. I don't know. That's just my opinion, and I'm going to end this video and upload it. So take care, and I'm going to take my picture because it stopped raining and the pavement's dry.